This man alive, and he is gonna lay the smack down on all you jabronis here tonight at Steve Station. So please give it up for your final performer of the night. It's Mac
Thanks, you guys. Give it up for Professor J. I love you. You're my best friend. And Big Dick Nick. They don't call him that because of the way he acts, you guys. And the artist, and my best friend, Christopher Wright. All right. You guys know I'm from the streets, right? Did you know that? I'm from the streets. Obviously, I'm from the streets. My balls are from the streets, too. These ones right here. You see them? You're probably wondering right now what street this jerk's balls are from, right? Well, it's actually cul-de-sac. Get it? I got in trouble at work. I almost got fired, you guys. My manager came up and talked to me. He said, "Hey, you got to quit talking like a pirate." And I said, "But it's fun." He's like, "Yeah, but you've been doing it for like 2 weeks." And I was like, "All right." He said, "Next time I'm going to have to send you down to talk to HR." Hey, my son writes these funny jokes. I'm going to tell you in a minute. But there's a funny story about my son. He's a little guy, he's like 11, and we were taking him to Hot Springs, Arkansas on vacation. And we were going down the highway, and I saw an exit sign that said, "Next exit, Cum Lake." And I said, "Hey, Pam, you want to get off of this exit? You want to get off here? We can go swimming in Cum Lake." Yeah, she didn't laugh that much either. But from the back, my 11-year-old son popped his head up from his Game Boy. He said, "Hey, Dad, I bet that's a man-made lake." He got his butt whooped. You want to hear his "your mama" jokes he writes? He asked me to tell him on stage. All right, you ready? He said, "Hey, Dad, your mom's so fat." And I was like, "Whoa, don't talk about my mom. You know that ain't cool." He's like, "Oh, sorry. I mean, hey, Dad, my grandma's so fat that when Obi-Wan Kenobi saw her, he said, 'That's no moon. That's a space station.'"
Damn. Wow.
He said, "Dad, your mom, or my grandma's so fat, she should have been in that movie Gone in 60 Seconds. I was like, "Why is that?" He said, "Every time she goes up for seconds, after 60 times, it's all gone." I was like, "Oh, that's pretty good." I said, "Hey, James," his name's James, too. I said, "Your mom's such a slut. Before the New York Knicks banged her, they took a bunch of Benadryl." He's like, "Why?" I'm like, "'Cause they've been a-drilling your mama."
Wow.
He didn't like that. So he came back and said, "Dad, your ma is such a slut. She puts the ma in menage a trois."
Wow. Hey.
He's like, "In your face." I'll tell you a story about my grandma. Rest in peace, right, Grandma? You guys ever heard of getting your temperature taken the old-fashioned way?
Yeah.
You know what that means? Anybody that doesn't know what that means here? Oh, good. Well, it means, in the butt. And I got 3 siblings and 8 cousins on my mom's side, and my grandma always decided if she thought we were running a little cold or whatever, that she would take us and take our temperature with Tiny. And that's what my sister called them. Yeah, and Tiny was, it's kind of like calling a fat guy Slim, or Slimbo. It was not Tiny. She'd say, "Go upstairs, let's go. Take your pants and your underwear down and lay on your tummy on the bed." And she didn't use any jelly or anything. She just shoved it in there.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, Chris might like that. I don't know. He thinks Tiny's cool, probably.
At least spit on it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but she didn't. And that'd be gross if my grandma spit on it and did do that, Chris. That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe your grandma would. I wouldn't mind, but mine, no. I didn't like my grandma because she raped me with a thermometer.
Yeah.
So then, one time, my brother was the youngest of like the 10 of us, and it was his turn. He hadn't had that happen before, and she was at our house babysitting us, and she said, "Hey, Brian," to my brother, "I think you're running a little cold. Let's go take your temperature." He's like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "James, you come too. He probably got running a little cold too." And I'm like, "Oh, crap, I know what that meant." So we go upstairs, and he goes first, and he didn't know what was going on. And she said, "Pull your pants and underwear down, and then lay on the bed on your tummy." And so he did. And then no spit or jelly or anything. She just shoved it right in there. And he looked at me like, "Help me! help me, James, help me. And I'm making eye contact the whole time while my grandmother's raping my brother, like 4-year-old little brother with a thermometer. I consider it rape, but I didn't give consent, you know. But I mean, toughen up, buddy. He's crying about it, you know. It happened to all of us. We all had to do it. Toughen up, you know. But he's crying. Then she's like 90 seconds. She leaves it in there and takes it and checks it. She's like, all right, James, it's your turn. And I'm like, whoa, you even going to wash that thing off? She's like, what for? That's when I'm like, come on, man. I snapped and I took off running and just in my pajama bottoms. And she started chasing me. And we had a laundry chute. You put your laundry in. It went to the basement, to the laundry room. So I climbed in there and I slid down it. But I heard her coming down the stairs, so I stopped like Spider-Man right in there. And I started going back up, climbing back up. And I ran into the room, and there's my brother in the fetal position crying. He's like, why? Why, James? Yeah, I said, this ends now. And I grabbed Tiny off the dresser. And then I ran out of the house, and I heard my grandma from the door, you better come back or I'm going to beat you with my spatula. She had a spatula that she made her famous Polish goulash with. And I didn't like it. And so I ran out in the backyard. I ran out in the woods, and I dug a hole in the snow, and I dug a hole in the frozen earth, and I buried Tiny there, and there he laid. And then I got put in a foster care home later because my mom was had a little time off, you know, in a mental institute. But she called me one time in the foster home and said, hey, James, I got to tell you bad news. Grandma passed away last night. I'm like, yes! You know, she's gone. It's over, you guys. She can't rape anyone again with a thermometer. Ever. It's over. But then I thought, you know, that's too bad. But 3 years later, I got a license and I bought my car, my first car. You know, a Chevy Impala, 74. I drove it to my old house and I went in the back out in the woods and I dug up Tiny. And then me and Tiny drove to Chicago, Illinois, where I was born. Where I got born at. I got born there. And then I took it right up to her gravestone, and I walked up to it, and I took Tiny out, and I put her right there, right on top of her tombstone. I say, all right, Grandma, rest in peace. Who's running a little cold now? I hated that bitch's goulash, too. That goulash, one time I wouldn't eat it. And she's like, eat your goulash. And I don't like it, Grandma, I don't want to. I still don't know my grandma's first name to this day. I've never knew her first name, that's how much I didn't like her. She's like, why won't you eat your goulash? I'm like, I don't know, Grandma. It kind of tastes like spatula. Oh, sorry, I ruined the joke. I don't know, Grandma. It kind of tastes like thermometer. That's how it was supposed to go. I don't know. I never told that story to anyone before. It's very personal. All right, can I tell you one more personal story before I pull the plug? Yeah, you give me a light, but you're standing there giving me the balls, the eyeballs. I mean, all right. Well, one time my parents left me with a babysitter. That was weird because when they left, sometimes the babysitter would come in my room and he would like molest me and stuff. You guys, that's not the funny part. Yeah, he came in and molested me and shit. I probably should have called DCF, you know, right? But luckily for him, I was DTF. That stands for down to fuck. Yes. All right, that's my time. Thank you guys. I love you, Steve Station. I love you. I love you, Professor James.
Love you, Mac James. Y'all give it up one more time for Mac James! We've had a fantastic evening here at the Steve Station. I want to thank everybody for coming out here, all the performers, everybody that watched at home, everybody that's doing their thing. Thank you, Chris, for rocking the bar and holding it down and for letting us keep a little bit late, and sorry for that. And we're going to be here again next week for Jam Night on Sunday. So we'll be here Sunday for Jam Night. We'll be here 2 weeks for open mic, and then we got open mic this Tuesday at Tiki Hut. We got open mic Friday. Thursday at Tiki Tavern. We got open mic Friday at Johnny's and open mic Saturday at Java Kala. So follow Professor J on Instagram and Facebook, Professor J Events on Facebook, and keep up with it, y'all. So close out your tabs, make sure you're tipping, and have a good night, y'all. Hula!
I want to make so much noise with it. Like, what is happening? I'm happy and happy for that.
Yeah, man. Dude, thank you very much. Great set. You got the second?
You feature app come to as well.
Oh yeah, which one's that?
It's gonna be a holiday. Yeah, holiday. I quit my job at Love It. I got sick of shit, so I started a new philosophy where I don't care about stuff. You can't care about anything. Before you think about something, you gotta think, do I care about this? And then you just say, no, I'm supposed to care about stuff. That breaks the rules. Yeah, it's like that.